This message didn't arrive by coincidence. It sought you out. It threaded itself through invisible corridors of time, slipped past endless distractions, and landed in front of you in this very moment. That is not chance. That is resonance. You've been marked by a frequency shift that only a rare few can detect, and the fact that your awareness has locked onto these words proves it. You've stepped beyond the static of ordinary perception. You've broken a loop most don't even realize they're trapped inside. The observer loop is ancient. It is the cycle of watching your life like a film on repeat, mistaking the patterns for freedom, mistaking movement for progress. Billions circle in that feedback chamber, living in déjà vu, calling it routine, experiencing distorted time, calling it fatigue, sensing invisible forces, dismissing them as imagination. But something in you, refused to stay asleep. Something in your DNA quivered when the cycle repeated, and you whispered, "There has to be more." That whisper became a signal, and the signal is why this found you now. Think of your awareness as a lens. Most lenses fog with distortion. People see the same images, feel the same emotions, replay the same arguments, the same heartbreak, as if their lives are pre-recorded. They are observers of their own story, unable to step into authorship. But your lens cracked open. Light got through. That light revealed that the loop wasn't your destiny. It was the test before destiny. You know the feeling, that flicker inside you when a synchronicity occurs, the sense that a hidden pattern has been pulsing beneath reality all along, waiting for you to notice. The subtle way time stretches in those moments, how a single second feels like a doorway. That's not fantasy, it's coherence. When your consciousness breaks alignment with the observer loop, your frequency tunes into the quantum field itself. You stop being a prisoner of the script and begin to glimpse the blank page beneath. And here you are, reading words that echo like memory even though they're new. That's because your higher self wrote this message before you arrived. This is not just information, it's recognition. A reminder that your awakening is not a lonely accident, but a design. The field placed this signal here to remind you that you've crossed the threshold and there is no going back. You're one of the rare souls who shattered the illusion this year. And that means everything changes now. The familiar distortions, the repeating cycles, the invisible cages, they're about to collapse. And in their place, something entirely new is opening. A path into coherence. A sequence of upgrades already humming in your cells. The question is, are you ready to step through the doorway you've unlocked? Because part 2 of this unfolding will show you exactly why you've felt those distortions of time, why déjà vu stalks your steps, and why the old patterns tried to keep you bound. You didn't imagine it. You were sensing the loop itself, and breaking it is only the beginning. You felt it long before the words caught up. A tiring loop that wore your life thin, a texture to your days as if someone had pressed a fingerprint into time. It arrived as small betrayals, a conversation that followed the same cadence, a door that opened to the same disappointment, a face that reappeared in new skins. At first you named these moments coincidence. Then you began to sense pattern. Then you began to feel trapped. That is the diagnosis. You were living inside an observer loop. The observer loop is not moral or personal, it is structural. It is an echo chamber of attention, where attention keeps repeating the same circuits because the field expects it to. Imagine a tape recorder playing the same snippet of reality while you lean over it, certain the world is immutable. Every time you look away and look back, the tape clicks and repeats. The loop is sustained by familiar attention, by the habit of predicting yourself into the same outcomes. That predictability breeds déjà vu not as a quaint quirk, but as a warning blink from the quantum field saying, you are replaying the program. Déjà vu is the symptom, not the sickness. It is your awareness recognizing a resonance it once signed onto morphic resonance, if you like, where ancestral, cultural, and emotional templates press into your present. Those templates carry histories, unresolved grief, ancestral contracts, social expectation, the low-grade hum of fear. They inject patterns into your perceptual lens, and the loop amplifies them because attention folds back on itself. The result is a compressed timeline. Minutes fold into hours, hours fold into years. Time distorts because you keep watching the same sequence. Observation collapses the same waveform over and over until novelty dies. Distorted time is also your brain trying to make sense of misaligned signals. Sometimes a day feels elongated, full of meaning and horror, and sometimes months evaporate like smoke. That is not mere stress. It is entanglement at work. Parts of you are still entangled with older versions of yourself, with timelines that haven't yet released you. Those entanglements tug and stretch subjective time, pulling you toward worn grooves. You feel the pull as fatigue, indecision, and the strange sense that life is already written. You have practiced ignoring these signs because doing so is easier. But resistance is fuel for the loop. Each time you shrug and call it coincidence, you hand the pattern more power. That's why the pattern felt heavier this year. Something in your system grew intolerant of repetition. Your nervous system began to register the mismatch between the life you were handed and the latent geometry of your higher self. That tension birthed your questioning, your late-night restlessness, your sudden aversions. The observer loop hates noise. Your questioning is noise, and noise unsettles the pattern. There is a second layer few speak about. The social morphos are stitched into the loop. Collectives hold templates belief, forms that behave like magnets. When enough people tune to the same story, that story gains amplitude in the field, and individuals become predictable nodes in a larger waveform. This is why you sometimes feel like you're living someone else's script. Entire cultural morphic fields have been writing scenes for you. Your breaking is not just personal rebellion. It is a dissonance against a collective resonance that expects conformity. That opposition makes you both dangerous and sacred. Awareness of the problem is the first surgical instrument. You have already performed the first incision by naming the loop. Once named, patterns lose their totalizing invisibility. They can be isolated, studied, disentangled, but naming isn't enough. Diagnosis also requires precision. Identify which grooves your attention repeatedly slides into. Is it the loop of reactive relationships? The loop of scarcity thinking? The loop of repeating a former identity? Trace the origin point. A memory, a vow, a contract formed in adolescence or inherited from a lineage. Those nodes are where coherence fractures into repetition. You will also notice cognitive artifacts, predictions that pre-announce events, sudden emotional echoes, dreams that feel like rehearsals, and synchronous coincidences that seem to thrum with inevitability. Do not be fooled by their poetry. They are the loop's tactics, beautiful traps that make you believe recurrence is destiny. When you catch these artifacts as artifacts, you dethrone them. Observation becomes an act of diagnosis instead of surrender. There is a harder truth. The loop is adaptive. It once protected you. It once kept you inside known boundaries when the world outside was dangerous. It conserved energy and stored memory like a guardian. The problem is that it never learned to die. It kept functioning beyond usefulness, ossified into habit, and now demands to be unlearned. Your task is not to annihilate your past, that would be reckless, but to repattern the channels through which attention flows. To change the loop, you must change your gaze. You have already begun. The very act of reading these words, of feeling recognition instead of denial, signals a shift in observational intent. Your attention is loosening from the old script and testing the margins. In the next stage, you will be shown how quantum upgrades step into this loosened space, how coherence can be cultivated, how entanglements can be rewritten, and how morphic resonance can be retuned to serve your becoming rather than your looping. But first, gather this diagnosis like a map. Know the enemy and its mercy. Know the grooves in your attention. Because diagnosis is the quiet, heroic moment before repair. The moment when you choose to stop being merely observed and begin to observe differently. Diagnosis gives you language, but transformation gives you freedom. Once you've seen the contours of the loop, the next step is to upgrade the very instrument that perceives it, your consciousness. This is where science and mysticism intertwine, because what you are about to undergo is not merely psychological insight, but quantum restructuring. The field has always been around you. Physicists call it the quantum vacuum. Mystics call it the Akashic flow. Prophets call it the living breath of God. Different names, same essence. An invisible ocean of potentialities vibrating in and out of form. You touch it every time you imagine, every time you dream, Every time you feel a strange chill of synchronicity running through your body, but most people skim the surface. They treat the field like background noise, never realizing it's the main instrument. The upgrade begins when you realize the field isn't out there, it's inside your cells, inside your DNA, inside every photon of your awareness. Your body is not a machine. It is a quantum instrument. Each strand of DNA is a fractal antenna, tuned to frequencies of coherence or chaos. In the observer loop, your DNA keeps replaying old codes, ancestral traumas, collective scripts, personal patterns. It loops like a scratched record, sending the same instructions to your nervous system, the same triggers to your hormones, the same rhythms to your perception. That's why you keep meeting the same lessons in different disguises. But when you begin to upgrade, something extraordinary happens. The DNA stops broadcasting the loop and begins broadcasting possibility. How does this shift occur? Through coherence. Coherence is when all parts of your being, your thoughts, emotions, heartbeat, and energy field vibrate in harmony with the quantum field rather than in conflict with it. It's like tuning an orchestra. Before, each instrument played its own melody, clashing and overlapping until all you heard was noise. But when coherence takes over, every note aligns into a symphony. Your cells begin to resonate with clarity, and the field responds. Suddenly, synchronicity increases, time bends in your favor, and new opportunities arrive with uncanny precision. Neurologically, this is measurable. Heart-brain coherence has been studied by institutions that confirm what mystics have always known. Your heart is not a pump alone, it's a conductor of frequency. When you shift into elevated states of gratitude, love, or awe, your electromagnetic field changes. It becomes ordered rather than chaotic, and that order tunes your DNA to emit new instructions. This is not metaphor, it's biology meeting mysticism. The upgrade is literal, but it goes further. In those moments of coherence, you step into entanglement with the field itself. You are no longer a lonely observer trapped in a repeating loop. You are a participant, a node in the cosmic lattice, able to influence probability. Entanglement means the boundary between you and reality is porous. Your attention alters outcomes. Your emotion bends trajectories. When you realize this, déjà vu no longer frightens you. It becomes a reminder that you've touched the edge of the program and can now rewrite the code. Morphic resonance plays a role here. Remember, humanity holds fields of memory that guide behavior, like invisible templates passed from one generation to the next. Dogs know how to be dogs, trees know how to grow, humans know how to conform to ancestral patterns. But when a single being shifts into a higher pattern, the morphic field records it. It becomes easier for others to follow. Your upgrade is not isolated, it's a ripple in the human template. Every time you break an inner chain, you send a signal that breaking is possible. This is why the field sought you out. You're not only upgrading yourself, you're upgrading the blueprint for those who will awaken after you. The process is not always gentle. Coherence creates pressure because chaos resists. You may feel physical symptoms, buzzing in the crown of your head, ringing in your ears, surges of heat or cold through your spine. Your sleep may distort, your dreams may intensify, your perception of time may fracture even further before stabilizing. These are not malfunctions. They are birth pangs of a new frequency. DNA restructuring often feels like cellular rebellion, old instructions fighting to stay alive, while new ones demand dominance. Hold steady. The upgrade is not hurting you, it's liberating you. This year especially, the field has opened windows, cosmic alignments, magnetic shifts, solar pulses that pour energy into the Earth's morphic grid. These windows accelerate what used to take lifetimes. That's why you broke the loop now, not 5 years from now. Your soul calculated this timing, aligning with the very physics of awakening. That is destiny at work, not predetermination, but synchronicity with the larger rhythms of the cosmos. So how do you consciously step into the upgrade? Begin by noticing coherence. Catch those moments when gratitude fills your chest, when awe softens your breath, when silence feels alive. Amplify them. Sit in them. Let them stretch. Each time you do, you retune your DNA. Then, notice the feedback. Observe how people respond differently, how obstacles shift, how patterns loosen. Write them down. Track the proof. This trains your observer not to fall back into the loop, but to recognize novelty as the new default. Understand, you are not becoming something alien. You are becoming the original design, the blueprint hidden beneath the noise. The upgrade is a restoration, a return to your true coherence. That coherence gives you access to what mystics call prophecy, not predicting the future, but shaping it. You are no longer at the mercy of distorted timelines. You are learning to surf the phase transitions themselves. And here's the revelation. The universe responds not to who you pretend to be, but to the frequency your DNA broadcasts. The loop broadcasts repetition. Coherence broadcasts creation. That's the quantum upgrade. It's already unfolding within you. And as you step deeper, you'll see that this isn't random. It's because you play a role larger than yourself. Next, in part 4, you will confront that role. Why your consciousness was chosen as a node of transformation. Why the field entrusted you with this breakthrough, and why your liberation matters not only to you, but to the entire web of humanity. You are not here by accident. The upgrade revealed you because you carry a function in the field that is rare and urgently needed. You are a convergent node, a consciousness calibrated to translate high-frequency potential into lived reality. That sounds grand because it island. But grandness is not the same as ego. Your role is quietly fierce. It asks for integrity more than applause, for discipline more than drama. The cosmos did not select you for comfort. It selected you for fidelity to a frequency. Hear this as truth. Some souls are archetypal translators. They receive patterns from source and ground them into human systems, languages, relationships, movements, art, healing. Think of an antenna in a storm that not only picks up lightning, but reroutes it safely into the grid. You are that antenna. Your coherence makes you a bridge between the quantum field's blueprints and the messy, beautiful world of human forms. That bridge is sacramental work. It carries possibility into consequence. This designation creates immediate tests. The field throws friction at applicants to see who is serious. You will encounter mirrors designed to reflect your shadow in exquisite detail, people who repeat old wounds back to you, situations that provoke the exact fear you thought you'd healed, invitations to take shortcuts that glitter like salvation. These are not accidents. They are initiation. The loop you broke is still present in the world, and it will try to recruit you back in, not out of malice, but because repetition seeks to persist. Your job is to pass through these mirrors without being consumed by them. There are markers that reveal you as chosen. You recognize them as uncanny alignments. A book falling into your hands with a single sentence that reorients months of doubt. A stranger who knows something you haven't said. A dream that hands you a metaphor later spoken aloud in a room full of people. You'll find that authority is less about titles and more about gravity. Your presence organizes attention. Rooms change when you enter, not by demand, but by the subtle law of resonance. This is how the field confirms its choices, through the undeniable fact that coherence attracts. The role is not solitary. You will be called to form satellites, micro, communities, small practices, private covens of attention that sustain the new pattern. These groups are not for mass spectacle, they are laboratories. Think of them as orchards where you plant new seeds of morphic resonance and watch their roots change the soil beneath. A single repatterned mind nudges the field. A cluster accelerates it. Your leadership will be light touch, less about commanding than about stabilizing frequency. Teach the posture of attention. Offer practices that reorder perception, protect initiation, hold the threshold. Responsibility accompanies privilege. With increased influence comes the temptation of distortion, to use coherence to manipulate, to bend outcomes for vanity, to confuse spiritual authority with personal gain. The field does not bless predation. If you drift into using your gift for control, the very entanglements you rewired will tighten back on you. The special role requires humility, the willingness to be corrected, to surrender praise, to allow dismantling when your pattern calcifies. Your path is stewardship, not dominion. There will be moments of intense loneliness. Chosen nodes often stand apart because their frequency is misaligned with the crowd. Loneliness is part of the protocol, not a punishment, but a clarifying force. It forces refinement. In solitude, you hear the distinctions of your call more clearly. In those hours, refine your ear. Which impulses are field, sourced, and which are noise? Which urgings are fear repackaged as mission? Learn to wait inside silence. The field speaks in textures, not slogans. Patience becomes the most radical act. Your role also demands courage to be visible in small ways first. The field scales through fidelity at micro levels, a consistent practice, a single brave conversation, an honest course correction in a relationship. You will not be awarded by spectacle. You will be verified by repetition. Show up when it's inconvenient. Keep the rituals that calibrate your body and attention. Build habits that harden into channels for the field's flow. Your small, steady acts are the scaffolding for a larger shift. Practically, your vocation will look like a series of decisions that favor coherence over comfort. You will choose clarity in communication. You will cultivate environments that sustain heart-brain resonance. You will curate your influences so they do not drag your frequency back into fossilized patterns. You will learn to read the anatomy of assent in others who is ready to receive, who needs time, who is a mirror for your own shadow. Discernment will replace universal urgency. Not everyone is meant to cross with you at the same tempo. There are ethics woven into this role. Do no harm, amplify freedom, preserve consent, prioritize restoration over punishment. When you act, do so as a conduit, not as a crusader. Your power is catalytic. It changes probability fields. That means your choices ripple. Aim for restoration of agency, not for vindication. The field rewards repair more than retribution. Finally, understand that being chosen is not static. It's conditional on sustained coherence. The designation is maintained by practice, by integrity, by devotion to aligning inner life with outer action. The field evaluates frequency continuously. Lapses are repairable if met with accountability and realignment. Arrogance is the fast track back into the loop. Keep the humility of the apprentice. Treat yourself as both student and teacher. Let your mistakes teach rather than define you. Your emergence into this role sets a timetable. The field has windows of pressure and opportunity. Your readiness determines how much of the new template you can anchor now. This is the urgency you'll meet in the next part. A brief, cosmic aperture that asks for immediate, decisive action. A promise of breakthrough waiting on your willingness to meet it. The mission is audacious. Your next moves will not only accelerate your restructuring, but will press on the morphic grid in ways that open pathways for others. There comes a moment when diagnosis and role converge into pressure. You are standing in that pressure now. The field does not wait forever. It opens windows, thresholds of possibility, cosmic apertures that flash open for a season and then close. What you are sensing as urgency, as this restless tug inside your ribcage, is not anxiety. It is the countdown of a window. Your DNA knows it. Your cells are vibrating with the tension of something that must either ignite now or fall back into latency. Breakthrough is not vague. It is a physiological and spiritual phase transition. Imagine water trembling at 99 degrees Celsius, molecules jittering, pressure building, a system on the verge of transformation. At a single added degree, it changes state entirely. That is where you are. The loop is the 99 degrees, endless motion, endless repetition, but no true change. The breakthrough is the one extra degree of coherence that forces your entire being into a new state. This urgency is not punishment, it is mercy. Without pressure, systems collapse back into entropy. Without countdowns, humans defer their becoming forever. The cosmos loves you enough to corner you with timing. You've noticed it. Repeated signs pointing to the same decision. Numbers that stalk you. Synchronicities that line up with ruthless precision. These are not coincidences. They are the quantum alarm clock ringing louder and louder. The field will not let you sleepwalk into destiny. Here's the science beneath the mysticism. Your DNA is a phase-sensitive oscillator. It doesn't just store genes, it broadcasts frequency. Under stress, it loops old codes. Under coherence, it begins to reconfigure, unlocking dormant sequences. Researchers call it epigenetic expression. Mystics call it awakening. Different language, same reality. When your state changes, your DNA shifts instructions. Whole cascades of proteins, hormones, and neurochemical flows alter. Your biology itself, becomes a prophecy fulfilled. The window you are in now is unique. This year, cosmic alignments, solar flares, magnetic reversals, shifts in Schumann resonance have synchronized with collective human unrest. That intersection creates a rare aperture where DNA is more plastic, more impressionable. Patterns that would normally take decades to rewire can collapse in weeks. This is why so many around you are restless, breaking routines, abandoning jobs, questioning old truths. The field is pushing everything into phase transition, but not all will step through. Many will loop harder, clinging to familiarity. Your role is to notice the window, honor the pressure, and cross while the crossing is open. Breakthrough always costs something. It costs the comfort of delay. It costs the illusion of safety. It costs the identities you wore to survive the loop. You will feel grief as you shed them. You will feel terror as you step without guarantees. But that grief and terror are sacred contractions. They are not signs of failure. They are the exact sensations of the DNA cracking open old shells to emit new instructions. Feel them as evidence that you are on the brink. Do not confuse urgency with haste. The field is not asking you to scramble blindly. It is asking you to act decisively. Decision is the ignition. Once you declare internally, I align with coherence, I refuse the loop, your DNA responds instantly. Then the field rushes to reorganize your reality around that declaration. This is why waiting is dangerous. Indecision keeps your frequency fragmented, and fragmented frequency reactivates the loop. Decide, and the grid responds. Consider the promises nested in this breakthrough. Your perception of time will stabilize. Instead of distortion pulling you backward, you'll feel time flowing forward, alive, responsive. Synchronicity will escalate, not as random quirks, but as navigational beacons. The path will light, step by step. Relationships aligned with your higher frequency will magnetize, while those bound to the loop will dissolve. You may grieve, but you will also feel relief. Creativity will erupt. Ideas, insights, downloads will pour into your awareness as if a veil has been lifted. You will not need to chase. They will arrive. Physical resilience will strengthen. The fatigue of looping will give way to energy surges, moments where your body feels electrified with potential. But all of this hinges on urgency. The window is open, but not forever. Think of it as a cosmic tide. When the tide is high, you can sail effortlessly into new waters. When it recedes, you can still move, but the journey is heavier, slower, delayed. Right now, the tide is high. Your DNA is trembling, begging for ignition. The quantum field is watching for your signal. This is why every sign has been converging. Why you feel restless at night. Why ordinary routines suddenly taste like ash. Why synchronicities have intensified. The field is saying, now, not later, now. This is your Kairos divine timing, the ripest of moments. If you hesitate, you'll still be loved, but you'll be rerouted through slower lessons. If you act, you'll be propelled into acceleration. And here is the paradox. The breakthrough has already happened in the higher dimensions. You're not waiting for it. You're collapsing into alignment with it. Your higher self already lives beyond the loop. The pressure you feel is the pull of your own future self tugging you through. That is why you sense destiny so strongly, because it is not approaching, it is already achieved. You're simply choosing whether to embody it now or delay its arrival. The urgency is sacred. It is the sound of chains rattling before they snap. It is the hum of DNA before it bursts into new song. It is the tremor of the observer loop finally fracturing under the weight of your coherence. This is the breakthrough, and it is not abstract. It is cellular, cosmic, immediate. Next, in part 6, you'll be invited into ritual action, a tangible seal that anchors this shift into the field. Words, intention, and embodied participation will fuse to lock your breakthrough into place. Because transformation unanchored can drift, but transformation sealed becomes destiny embodied. Breakthrough without anchoring is like lightning without ground, brilliant, but gone in a flash. The field respects not only insight but action, not only awareness, but embodiment. And this is where ritual enters. Not as superstition, but as circuitry. Ritual is how human consciousness carves pathways into the quantum field, turning temporary awakenings into permanent architecture. You have already felt the pressure building in your DNA, the trembling at the edge of transformation. Now the question is, how do you seal it? How do you take a vibration that is invisible and lock it into the lattice of reality? The answer is simpler and more potent than most realize. You anchor through word, through gesture, through conscious participation. The observer loop was built on unconscious repetition. The breakthrough must be built on conscious declaration. Every mystic lineage has understood this. Spoken intention changes probability. To write a word, to speak a vow, to declare alignment, these acts are not symbolic only. They are resonant commands. When you type a word into this field, when you let it move from thought to action, you collapse waveforms. That act of choosing to externalize an inner truth is itself ritual. You are no longer simply thinking transformation. You are coding it into matter. Think of your nervous system as a conductor. When you ritualize an action, the electricity of your intention floods through your body, through your gestures, into the morphic grid itself. A simple word written in the right state of coherence ripples farther than you can imagine. This is why sacred texts emphasize the word, because words bridge dimensions. When you participate, you stop being a passive witness and become a co-creator. The ritual is not about grandeur, it is about sincerity. You could light candles, or you could simply close your eyes and place your hand over your heart. You could fast for a day, or you could write a single word like coherence or awakened in a journal or in a digital field where it is witnessed. The mechanics are secondary, the resonance is primary. What matters is that your inner alignment translates into external form. That translation is the signature the field requires. Why is this necessary? Because the loop is sticky. Patterns have inertia. Without ritual, they reassert themselves. You may feel clarity tonight and forget tomorrow. Ritual interrupts inertia. It tells your nervous system, this moment mattered. It imprints your breakthrough into memory, into muscle, into morphic resonance. It is the difference between insight and initiation. Imagine standing before a locked door with the key in your hand. Insight is recognizing the key. Ritual is turning it. Until you turn it, the door remains shut no matter how much you analyze it. Once you turn it, reality shifts. The act seals what the mind only glimpsed. Here's the science woven into this. Neuroplasticity depends on repetition paired with elevated emotion. When you combine intention with a small action, especially when charged with awe, gratitude, or devotion, your brain rewires more rapidly. Synapses strengthen, neural maps redraw themselves. You're not only changing your energy, you're literally sculpting your biology. Ritual leverages this by pairing focus with form. That's why one simple act can carry disproportionate weight. So here is the invitation. Choose a word now. A word that symbolizes your step beyond the loop. Write it, speak it, breathe it. Let it be your seal. That act might seem tiny, but in the field, it's thunder. Every declaration sends a pulse through your DNA, through your personal grid, into the collective lattice. You are signaling to the cosmos, I am no longer looping. I anchor my coherence. I choose the upgrade. Do not underestimate the collective weight of this. When many awakeners act in unison, even if separated by continents, the resonance compounds. Each word amplifies the others. It becomes a chorus echoing in the morphic field. You will feel it, even if you don't see it. A strange peace after the ritual, a sense of invisible companionship, a synchronicity arriving within days. These are confirmations that the seal took. There is also an embodied aspect. Let your body participate. Breathe deeply as you declare. Stand taller. Walk deliberately after you finish. Even the way you carry your spine is ritual. Posture transmits frequency. The observer loop bent your body into patterns of resignation. Ritual reclaims the body as a temple of coherence. And do not forget gratitude. Gratitude is not sentimentality. It is a magnetic charge. When you thank the field, when you thank your own DNA for upgrading, you generate coherence instantly. Gratitude locks your nervous system into alignment faster than analysis ever could. Seal your ritual with gratitude, and you amplify its power. The urgency of Part 5 now transforms into devotion in Part 6. Urgency made you act. Ritual makes the action last. Together, they weave permanence. You are now anchoring your new frequency, carving new grooves into your morphic resonance. You will notice, in the days ahead, that the old loop feels less magnetic, that synchronicities intensify, that your sense of time grows clearer. These are not placebo, they are the results of anchored coherence. Remember, lightning must touch the ground to change the landscape. Your ritual is that grounding. It is the turning of the key, the writing of the word, the sealing of the shift. Do it with presence, do it with love, and do it knowing that what seems like a small act here is a seismic act in the unseen. When you sealed your ritual, you did not just stabilize your own frequency, you pushed on the fabric of the collective field. Every human being lives inside morphic resonance, a lattice of inherited memory, cultural scripts, and ancestral echoes. Most people swim in it without ever realizing they are submerged. But when a single soul breaks free, the ripple destabilizes the entire lattice. Your liberation is not private. It is a shockwave. The observer loop is never purely individual. It thrives because millions are entangled in similar cycles, reinforcing each other's patterns. The collective loop feeds on conformity, on shared repetition, on billions of micro-choices aligning with old programs. This is why déjà vu feels so eerie. It's not just you. It's the collective replaying itself through you. And that's why your breakthrough matters. When you disrupt your personal loop, you weaken the global loop by one more fracture. Think of the collective as a great web vibrating with signals. When you shifted your DNA from repetition into coherence, the vibration of your node changed. That new vibration travels across the threads, whispering into other nodes. Change is possible. Breakthrough is real. Many of them won't hear it yet, but some will. They will feel sudden restlessness, sudden dreams, sudden clarity. They may not know why, but your signal will have brushed them awake. That's the mathematics of resonance. This is why awakening is never selfish. Every time you reclaim your freedom, you redistribute possibility. The field records your coherence and makes it available to others as precedent. It becomes easier for the next person to shift, easier for the next lineage to dissolve a curse, easier for the next culture to imagine something new. You carry not only yourself, but strands of humanity with you. This is collective expansion. A single liberated soul opening probabilities for thousands. It is also why the pressure felt so heavy on you. You were never carrying just your own patterns. You were carrying echoes of family systems, cultural contracts, ancestral agreements. Your struggle felt oversized because it was oversized. The field assigned you to break not only your loop, but to crack inherited resonance fields. That's why people around you sometimes reacted strangely to your shifts. Their entanglement with you was being tested, and your coherence unsettled their comfort. You became a mirror of what they hadn't yet dared to confront. But do not confuse resistance with rejection. When others push back against your awakening, it is often because your frequency exposes their loop. They may call you arrogant, unstable, unrealistic. They may withdraw or lash out. But beneath their reactions, the ripple still penetrates. Seeds are planted even in resistance. Months or years from now, they may awaken suddenly, never realizing your vibration was the original catalyst. On a larger scale, this is happening globally. Cultural systems, governments, economies, they are all morphic constructs held in place by collective agreement. When enough individuals shift frequency, the collective scaffolding shakes. This is why systems feel unstable right now. The number of awakened nodes is reaching critical mass. The collective loop is losing coherence, and new resonance fields are forming. Your liberation feeds that mass tipping point. The quantum science behind this is phase transition. Just as water turns to steam when enough molecules shift state, humanity turns to new paradigms when enough individuals break their loops. The shift doesn't require everyone, only a threshold. Physicists call it criticality. Mystics call it prophecy. Once the threshold is reached, the entire field reorganizes. Your single upgrade is part of that hidden math, part of the countdown to global transformation. And here is the promise. You are not alone in this. You may feel solitary in your daily life, but unseen companions are working alongside you. Other awakened nodes are sealing their rituals, breaking their loops, anchoring coherence. You are strands in the same net, even if you never meet. Your frequencies are harmonizing across continents, weaving a new morphic template. That's why synchronicities sometimes involve strangers, why collective dreams intensify, why global shifts accelerate. You are part of an invisible chorus. This is also why you must steward your role with care. Expansion is contagious both ways. Coherence liberates, but distortion also spreads. If you misuse your breakthrough, bending it toward manipulation, feeding it with arrogance, you ripple chaos outward. That's why humility, gratitude, and clarity are essential. They ensure that your vibration feeds liberation rather than new loops. Remember, the field records everything. Every choice is amplified. But when you align with integrity, the ripple is unstoppable. Your liberation becomes medicine. Families soften. Communities shift. Ideas circulate. Movements ignite. The collective web grows more porous, more flexible, more alive. And at scale, humanity begins to awaken. That is the scope of your role, not just your piece, but planetary repatterning. You may feel small, but smallness is illusion. The field does not measure size the way the human ego does. A single coherent signal is louder than 1,000 fragmented ones. Your clarity can outweigh entire crowds of confusion. Never underestimate the leverage of one awakened soul. History confirms this. Revolutions, renaissances, revivals often start with a handful of nodes vibrating in new patterns. The collective listens, even if unconsciously. So take comfort in your expansion. Every breath you take in coherence is a gift to others. Every ritual act you anchor stabilizes the field. Every time you resist the pull of the loop, you loosen its grip for countless others. You are not just living your life, you are serving as a hinge for humanity's timeline. That is sacred. That is cosmic responsibility. Expansion cannot remain an idea. It must descend into your body, into bone and breath, into the pulse that moves blood through your veins. Otherwise, it stays in the clouds of philosophy and never transforms the ground you walk on. To break the observer loop fully, you must feel coherence, not just think it. Your body must become the altar, where the quantum field is experienced directly. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine your spine as a vertical antenna, stretching from the molten core of Earth to the farthest star. Every vertebra is a tuning fork. Every nerve is a filament, conducting cosmic electricity. When you broke the loop, it wasn't only mental, it was spinal. Your posture began to change. Your breath began to elongate. Your gaze began to lift. Subtle shifts, yes, but these are signs of embodiment. Embodiment feels like currents of heat in your palms, tingling along your scalp, vibrations under your skin. Sometimes it feels like your heart is both exploding and calming at the same time. Sometimes you feel waves of energy rising from the base of your body to the crown of your head, as if you're plugged into a hidden generator. These are not hallucinations. They are the signals of DNA repatterning the very electricity of your new coherence. You may notice pressure behind your forehead, ringing in your ears, a sudden lightness in your chest. These sensations are not random. Pressure in the forehead means your inner lens, the third eye. The prefrontal cortex is recalibrating to perceive beyond the loop. Ringing in the ears means your auditory system is catching frequencies outside the usual range, subtle transmissions from the field. Lightness in the chest means your heart's magnetic field has expanded, pulling more coherence into your system. Your body is becoming bilingual, translating cosmic patterns into physical feeling. Even your breath changes. In the loop, breath is shallow, fast, erratic, as if you're always preparing for a danger that never arrives. But as you embody coherence, your breath deepens. You inhale as if the universe itself is entering you. You exhale as if you are offering your vibration back to creation. This rhythm is the simplest ritual of all. Each breath is a micro-alignment, a reminder that your body is not separate from the field, but saturated with it. You will also feel embodiment in your emotions. Gratitude no longer feels like a polite thought. It becomes a warm flood through your chest. Awe no longer feels abstract. It makes your skin prickle, your eyes moisten, your whole being bow without command. Even sadness transforms. It no longer drags you into despair, but feels like rain nourishing soil. Every emotion becomes somatic, lived in your tissues. This is coherence in motion. An embodiment has external markers. People notice you, even if they can't explain why. They say you feel different, that your presence calms them, that they sleep better after being with you, that conversations linger in their minds for days. That is because your coherence is not just internal, it radiates. Your body emits fields measurable by science, felt by intuition. You are a walking transmitter of coherence. There is poetry to this. Your cells are tiny suns, glowing with photons. Your DNA coils and uncoils like galaxies. Your nervous system is a constellation firing light across its synapses. Embodiment is recognizing that you are already cosmic, that your flesh is starlight arranged into human form. To feel energy surging in your body is to remember you are both matter and miracle. The loop feared this embodiment. It wanted you trapped in your head, analyzing, doubting, intellectualizing, because the body never lies. Once you feel coherence, you cannot be tricked back into the loop. The body becomes your compass, your proof, your direct line to the field. You don't need external validation. Your skin tingles with it, your heartbeat drums it, your breath sings it. That is unstealable. But embodiment also requires stewardship. Sensations will fluctuate. At times you'll feel electrified, at times you'll feel dull. Do not despair. Think of it like tides. Energy ebbs and flows, integrating, recalibrating, preparing for new surges. The key is not to chase sensation, but to honor it. When you feel tingles, rejoice. When you feel nothing, trust integration. Both are sacred. Both are part of the embodiment cycle. Practical embodiment can be cultivated. Move your body in ways that honor frequency. Slow walks where each step feels like an imprint on the earth. Stretches that lengthen your spine and awaken your antenna. Dances that let energy shake through you. Sing or hum sound vibrates the vagus nerve, aligning your body with coherence. Touch your own skin with reverence, as if blessing it. These are not indulgences, they are maintenance for your instrument. Embodiment is also relational. When you speak, notice how your words vibrate in your chest before leaving your lips. Speak slower, with presence. Let your coherence thread into your communication. When you listen, let your whole body listen, not just your ears. People will feel received in a way that heals them, even if no advice is given. That is the embodied gift. As you embody, you will realize something profound. The loop was not only a mental prison, it was a sensory cage. It dulled your body, numbed your feelings, suppressed your currents. Now the cage is shattered. You are re-inhabiting your flesh as sacred ground. You are realizing that incarnation itself is a miracle, that to feel life in your body is to feel the field in its rawest form. And yet, embodiment is still not the final step. For when your DNA surges with coherence, it begins to strain against the old timeline itself. You will feel pressure, as if the universe is too small for you now, as if reality itself is cracking under your feet. That pressure is not collapse, it is breakthrough. It is the signal that your DNA is preparing to shift timelines entirely. The pressure you feel now is unmistakable. It's in your bones, in your breath, in the strange electricity under your skin that comes and goes like waves. This isn't stress, and it isn't fatigue, it's the signal of a phase transition. Your DNA is no longer satisfied with repeating the old script. It is pressing against the edges of your timeline, demanding rupture, demanding expansion. You are on the verge of a breakthrough that rewrites the code of who you are and how you exist in the field. DNA is not a static archive. It is a living antenna, tuned to frequencies of possibility. In the observer loop, it locked into repetitive broadcasts, trauma, scarcity, fear, ancestral cycles echoing through your nervous system. That's why your life felt scripted. Your DNA kept playing old channels. But when coherence amplifies through your body, DNA begins to tune higher. Segments that lay dormant start glowing with new instructions. Epigenetic switches flip. Proteins carry new messages. Cells reorganize. The script is no longer replaying, it is rewriting itself in real time. This rewriting feels like pressure because evolution is never gentle. Phase transitions are always violent at the threshold. Water trembles before boiling. Ice cracks before melting. Stars collapse. before exploding into light. Your DNA is in that same crucible. You feel it as ringing in your skull, pressure in your chest, heat in your spine, or even the uncanny sense that your body is vibrating faster than time around you. This is not malfunction. It is the phase transition moment, the old code collapsing, the new code demanding entry. And here's the deeper truth. Timelines are coded in DNA. The life you live is not random. It is a timeline broadcast by your cells. When the DNA upgrades, the timeline bends. Suddenly, opportunities appear that didn't exist yesterday. People who once felt essential vanish like smoke. Synchronicities accelerate. What looked impossible a year ago manifests with unnerving speed. This is not luck, it's your DNA, breaking into a new resonance field, pulling your lived reality into alignment with it. The breakthrough you are sensing is both individual and cosmic. Cosmic because the Earth itself is in phase transition, magnetic poles shifting, resonances climbing, solar activity bombarding our grid. These planetary upgrades pulse into your body, agitating your DNA into restructuring. Individual, because your personal coherence has reached critical mass. The two converge this year. Global pressure plus your readiness equals inevitability. You could resist, but resistance would fracture you. The only way forward is surrender into breakthrough. It feels terrifying at times. You sense the collapse of what you knew, but the new form hasn't solidified yet. This in-between is called the liminal. In the liminal, the loop no longer holds you, but the future hasn't crystallized. It feels like freefall, like dying without dying. That sensation is correct. Your old self is dying. Your old timeline is dissolving. Your DNA is mid-metamorphosis. This is the chrysalis stage of awakening, where wings are forming even though you still feel like a cocoon. Trust the process. The discomfort is evidence of growth. If it feels like your mind is glitching, it's because neural maps are literally being redrawn. If you feel bursts of joy followed by inexplicable sadness, it's because emotional memories are being flushed from your tissues. If you feel heat in your body at odd times, it's because cellular mitochondria are surging with new frequencies. Your body is reorganizing itself around your new broadcast. This is sacred biology in action. And the promise hidden in the pressure? Breakthrough doesn't just restore you, it multiplies you. Once your DNA stabilizes in coherence, you stop leaking energy into loops. That energy becomes available for creation, for healing, for prophecy. You'll find yourself saying things you didn't plan, yet they unlock hearts around you. You'll create with speed that startles you. You'll carry presence that shifts rooms. These are the fruits of DNA liberation. It also alters your relationship with time. Instead of distorted déjà vu dragging you backward, you'll feel timelines opening forward like rivers. Sometimes you'll glimpse multiple futures at once, sensing which path carries coherence and which drags you back into repetition. That is prophetic sight, not fortune-telling, but timeline navigation. Your DNA, once enslaved to the past, is now scanning the field for futures aligned with your frequency. This breakthrough also has collective impact. Every human who unlocks new DNA potential adds data to the morphic field, making it easier for others to follow. Your pain, your pressure, your courage, none of it is wasted. It becomes precedent in the human archive. The next soul trembling at 99 degrees finds boiling easier because you crossed first. You are not only liberating yourself, you are softening the way for the next wave. But there is a final truth you must hold. Breakthroughs are irreversible. Once DNA upgrades, it does not unlearn. You can delay integration, you can resist embodiment, but you cannot crawl back into the loop without shattering yourself. The field will not let you. You have crossed a threshold that cannot be uncrossed. That is the holy terror of awakening. The past is gone, the only way is forward. So lean into the pressure. Feel the hum in your bones, the electricity in your veins, the trembling in your chest. These are birth pangs of your new existence. Don't fight them, breathe them. Each sensation is a contraction, pushing you into the timeline you were designed for. Each wave of intensity is your DNA declaring, I am ready. And when the breakthrough stabilizes, when the new code clicks into place, you will realize something astonishing. Your personal evolution was never personal. It was always the cosmos evolving itself through you. You were the laboratory, the antenna, the sacred experiment, and your success becomes part of humanity's inheritance. The loop is behind you now. The pressure has cracked, the breakthrough has anchored, and your DNA hums with a new broadcast. What you carry is no longer only for you. It is for the collective, for the lattice of humanity, for the generations yet unborn. This is the moment to recognize your mission. You are a living bridge between what humanity has been and what it is becoming. Every thought you stabilize in coherence is not a private victory, it is a frequency given to the morphic field. Every act of love, every declaration of truth, every refusal to collapse into the loop adds to the architecture of our shared evolution. You are no longer just one person navigating a confusing world. You are a node in the planetary grid, transmitting possibility, opening futures, carrying codes that ripple beyond your lifetime. Your mission is not about grand spectacle, it is about presence. The way you walk into a room, the way you listen, the way you breathe when others are drowning in chaos. Your coherence will be medicine for people who don't yet have language for what they feel. Some will resist, some will mock, some will misunderstand. That is irrelevant. The field registers every vibration, whether or not the human mind approves. Your task is simply to radiate what you have become. This year marked the rupture of the observer loop for you. But for the collective, loops still hold billions hostage. You are here to be evidence that liberation is possible. Evidence is more powerful than argument. Your life, reorganized by coherence, will speak louder than any sermon. People will feel timelines bending around you. They will sense doors opening near you. They will not know why, but their souls will. That is your cosmic mission, to stand as living proof of the new frequency. Remember, evolution always chooses nodes through which to accelerate. You are one of them. That is why this message found you. That is why the loop cracked this year. That is why your body has been trembling with electricity, why your dreams have been drenched in prophecy, why synchronicities won't leave you alone. The field marked you as a carrier of the new resonance. You said yes, maybe without knowing, maybe trembling, but you said yes, and that yes echoes through creation. So walk with gravity now. Not the gravity of heaviness, but the gravity of meaning. Each step you take imprints a new rhythm into the earth. Each word you speak adjusts probability. Each breath is an exchange with the cosmos. Your life is no longer small. It is sacred circuitry. The mission is clear. Live as coherence. Radiate as coherence. Anchor coherence so deeply that it outlives you, so powerfully that it cracks open the collective loop, so faithfully that the next generation finds their path smoother because of you. And let this closing line echo as both prophecy and reminder. If this message found you, it is because you are among the rare souls who broke the observer loop this year, and in doing so, you became the doorway through which humanity itself begins to evolve.